would be twice as long for me to do this by myself.
Okay. You know my head's not in the picture, right?
It is.
No, it's the whole thing. Just
I'm in the mood to go cut crazy with my aloe veras, and I'm gonna make some gel. I'm gonna take this one down. I'm trying to squeeze in here because I got so many plants. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to cut this. I'm gonna get this knife under here. A lot of fiber down there. Let's see if I can. Well, that didn't work. Oh wow, that was quite a tipsy, wasn't it? Yeah, it's a little bit crowded in here. So I had a little bit of an avalanche there for a bit. So I'm cutting some of these out of the way so that I can get in there and get that big one. They tip over like this, and I got them high so they tipped over. So I'm just gonna cut this one right off, right here. That way there's a little bit more balance because there's two of them still on here. They'll do better. So I'll be able to put that back on the shelf. The knife didn't quite work, so I got some cutters here. We're gonna get this big one off of here. And I attempted to cut it before there's a 3-tier shelf over here, and the whole thing tipped over on my head. So yeah, broke a few plates, but not bad. All right, but anyway, that's what happens when you got so many. Here, I'm gonna work on this one. I'm gonna cut it right down here. Say goodbye. This is gonna be used. This is a huge one. Look at this one here. See this one here? Wow, this is a beauty. The thick leaves are all the way down really low, so this is a pretty good one. You can see the very bottom one was getting skinny. There's no sense in keeping it any further. I mean, you might as well harvest it because you're gonna get the juice, and that's what you want. You're harvesting it for the juice. So that's what I'm doing. I've got lots of plants here. The Lord has blessed me with lots of plants, and so I want to make use of them. So we're going to take this and bring it in the kitchen with a big bowl that I just filled of a bunch of plants. This is a biggie one, definitely a pretty one, but it's got to serve me somehow. So I have a lot of plants in my sunroom, so we're going to get rid of some of them. Yep, that's what we're going to do today. Hello, this is Michelle, and I'm in my kitchen with some aloe vera plants I've harvested from my sunroom, and I'm going to be working on them today. You can join me as we harvest these for freeze-dried powder. I'm going to freeze-dry them for the gel, and I'm going to use some of the whole leaves and powder them for use in various things. Depending on how green they are, I'll be using them for different things, maybe soap making, possibly using in smoothies a little bit. I'm going to show you how to harvest these to make sure that most of the aloe is out before we do the freeze drying. So, okay, join me. We'll be productive today. Now, I've harvested a lot of leggy plants. You know how the plants want to droop over your pot? I've just basically snipped them, and I'll harvest the big plant, and I'll leave the little pups to grow. Sometimes when I do this, I will harvest just a certain amount of leaves on here, and then I'll save the younger front and just reroot that for a new plant. But sometimes I take the whole plant because I have so many. Here I have one that is in pretty good shape. It's obviously got some nice thick juicy leaves, so I want to take advantage of using them. So I'm going to probably take most of this plant and use it for juice because it's pretty thick all the way through. There's several ways to do this. Sometimes I'll just cut. Let me slip a little sheet under here. If I know for sure I'm going to use the whole plant, then I can just chop the root right off here. Probably I'm going to need to chop some of it off anyway because I'm not going to be using this. So if I know for sure I'm going to use the whole plant, I will just keep chopping and chopping and chopping and pull the leaves off and just discard the root. But sometimes you can just also make a little slit on the side, and then you can just peel it off. Sometimes I just do that with my finger also. I'll just hold on to the root like this. I'll pinch it with my nail if I have a good nail, which I don't always have. And I'll just pinch the side like this with my nail, kind of get it like ripped. Then I'll just pull it around in a circle like that and tear it off. A lot of times I'll do that because if I see a couple nice little knobs here, I know that those will turn into roots if I decide to save this plant. But some of these leaves are a little bit chewed up and they do got a good amount of juice in them. So I'm going to definitely harvest some of these leaves off so I can use them for freeze drying Or for juice, if you don't have a freeze dryer, you can use this by freezing it in ice cube trays, the gel, or whatever. I'm trying to conserve my space in my freezer. I'm thankful that I have a freeze dryer now and I can do this. I have not found a YouTube for homeowners that have done any aloe vera, so I'm really going to be enjoying the powder. Here's an example of some of the powder that I already have freeze dried right here. I have another full jar that I've stored away. Let me shake it up a little bit here for you. So as I get my powder, I will, slowly fill my jar and then vacuum seal it. I also have some that I've done whole leaf, so you can see a little bit of the green in there. These were nice fat leaves that I chopped up. So you can see there's a good amount of lighter color, which means I've got a lot of aloe in this and maybe some green, which is fine. I would use this in smoothies because it has mostly aloe vera juice in it. But right now I have so many plants, I don't need to even use my powder for smoothies, so I just take one of my leaves and throw it in my smoothies. Let's get back to work. Don't want to get too sidetracked. Here we got a good stub here. This plant looks pretty straight. It's a little crooked. If I were to plant it, I'd want to plant it like that. See how the stem is going like that? But I like to plant these in small pots because they don't like a lot of water. I used to plant it, and you'll see from my other YouTubes, I had some long stems that I would wind around because they had roots at the bottom. I know that you can just plant the stem and it'll root itself. It just takes a little longer. And so I think that I would be able to put that in a pot, but because it's crooked and it has some nice juicy big leaves here, I think I'm going to use this whole plant. That's what I'm going to do for this one. We got more coming. So this one here is going to be juice. I could go like this. Now watch this. This is another experiment. If you don't have a lot of plants, you might want to do it this way, okay? I'm going to take it and leave a little bit and then cut it. And the reason is because now I've got my leaves, but I also have the potential for new growth because I didn't cut it all the way down to the stump. So obviously these here, I'm going to slice them off because they're just going to dry up and I don't want that. So I'm going to put a little bit of a slice in here real carefully and just peel that off so I can use this gel. And I think what I'm going to do is probably do that to these three, and I'm going to leave this. And we'll see what happens with that. I think that I do have some that I did this way, some smaller ones, and they are starting to produce new leaves in the middle. See, if I keep peeling this stuff away, this stem is going to get skinnier and skinnier, and I don't want to weaken it too much. I can peel a little bit away, but I want to be careful that I don't keep peeling all the outer layers because it makes it kind of a weaker stem. And I do see some little knobs in here at the bottom, which I'm hoping will take root. See those knobs right there? And I'm sure there's some under here, but you just can't see them. Probably I'm going to just very carefully take a little bit of this off. Just slice it just to get some of that nice juice out of there. And I will put this in a pot and we'll see if it grows. We're experimenting here. All right. So I'm going to see if that little middle part starts to come up. I'm going to let that dry right over here for now. Okay, so see the aloe that's dripping? This is aloe that's dripping out that you do not want to have internally. It can irritate you. So as you can see here, I've got a bowl of my fatter pieces in here, and I've got a bowl of smaller pieces in here, but this one's full, so I'm going to get a new bowl. Okay, so I fill my bowls halfway with water. My scrap bucket, you can see the gel is dripping because I've just cut this. So we're going to wipe that off with a paper towel. You can see the yellow. See there? That's aloe, A-L-O-I-N. And that is the juice that comes out when you cut the leaf between the green part and between the gel. And it's not the part you want to take internally if you do use these internally. You want to make sure that's gone. This is a nice juicy one, but it's kind of stubby. And my husband helps me scrape the gel out of the bigger ones, but I don't want him to have to bother with smaller ones even though they are like this. So what I'll do is I'll put these in this container with all my small pieces. So when I blend up some of my smaller pieces, there is a little bit more gel in that mix. So I'm going to cut that off and put that in there. This one's debatable. I think I'll take that piece and put it in there. And this is worthy of a little bit of gel, so I'm going to put it in this one here. It's long enough to scrape. See, when you scrape them, you have to hold on to one end and then turn it around and hold on to the other end. And these little ones are a little hard to do that, even though it's possible. It would definitely give me some good gel. But I'm going to put it in here and donate it to the mix that's going to be more green, just to give it some more aloe. So a lot of these stubbies that I just took off, I'm just gonna just dump in there. All these stubbies here, because they're gonna get just blended up. Well, actually, I might just chop them up. I may not blend them up anymore. I've been doing that, and I've learned that really, if I don't blend them and I just chop them, I can pile them higher on my tray. So I'm still kind of learning the process. But here's a nice piece here that's gonna go in the big pile. Some of these smaller ones I'm gonna put in here, and I'm gonna blend them whole with the leaf and everything. So I'm gonna get some nice sections here. I would say those are worthy of scraping some gel out of. So they're gonna go in there. This one here is worthy, but it's also small enough to donate to this bucket. So that's kind of how I do it. So I just kind of keep going. As I put it in the water, the aloe in there will seep into the water. Then I can strain the water a couple times, and when I get clear water, I know that the aloe is out. All right, so got some nice juicy pieces here. I'm gonna just put them in here, put that in there, and I'm gonna keep going. Get you a closer look here. This one here can go in my big pile. And this one here, if it's kind of shriveled and too much, I might not even keep the stubby ends because I don't want too much of the just green with no gel. Put that in there. I'm going to put this in there, this in here. I'm going to keep sorting. This is kind of skinny, doesn't have much gel at the end, so I'm just going to throw that in the compost pile. So I just kind of keep going, and this is how I'm doing it. I'm harvesting my aloe vera. Jesus, Lamb of God. Okay, here's a real big one here. This is a monster of a mama that I decided, it's got juice. The lower leaves are getting skinny, which are wasting my juice away, and I don't want that. And I have too many in my sunroom that I can keep up with, so we're gonna harvest this. I'm gonna tip this upside down. This one's got some nice knobs in it. See the knobs there? So they would make some new roots if I wanted to do that. But you know, I don't know. I have been keeping some big ones, and this one, if I were to stand it up straight, I could save maybe some of it, but I already have some big ones, a lot of them. So, decisions, it's really hard sometimes, because you hate to see a plant die. But God made it so that these plants can serve us, and the gel is good for us. So we're going to benefit from this, okay? All right, here we go. The question would be, again, do I want to save the root at all? It does have some nice little knobs in there, but I have a feeling this is root all the way down to about here, right here. I'll tell you what, let's just peel this one. I'm gonna peel it for a little while, which is my other method. I'm just turning and peeling. I'm holding onto the stem here like this, and I'm turning around and pinching and unwrapping my leaves. A lot of these leaves are skinny, and they're just, they've been neglected. So basically what happens is that if I don't water enough, the plants will keep growing, but what happened was the lower leaves will feed the upper leaves. So the juice in here will feed them because they don't have enough moisture. That's how I know that I'm not watering enough. So let's see here. I'm gonna pinch this one off, turn it around. Tell you what, this is kind of heavy. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Keep going in a circle. I don't want to rip too many of this layers off because it's going to weaken the stem, so I'm going to keep some of that on there, and we'll let it dry. What you can do is, sometimes I plant these right away if I do decide to plant them, but you can just let them sit overnight and let them dry up a little bit. It won't hurt nothing. How does it look now? I've taken off a good amount, and I could just plant this. Shall we have a vote? Decisions. I just think about all this nice juice I can use. So, you know what? Think about it. This one has a stubby, so it's not as pretty, but sometimes I like to get rid of those. This is nice and thick, and it really is a pretty good size leaf. And if I end up neglecting this again, it's gonna get skinny and I'm gonna lose my gel. So I think I'm gonna take it. Take these off. All right, now let's look at it. All right. Well, still got a nice one here. And this one's stubby. And this is nice and big. I have an idea. This is what we can do. There's lots of different ways to fool around with these things. Let's try this way. I'm gonna take this off. Whoops, starting to get a little skinny down there, so I don't want to weaken it too much if I'm gonna save this. So what I want to do now is, I think I'm going to take a tall skinny pot so it doesn't have a lot of dirt. I'm going to put this in, even though I know I could cut this and we could just put it in from here to here. But because I don't see a lot of the stubs and they're under here, I'm not really sure how well it will do. So I see them here, I see the knobs here, so they will be able to take root. And so I'm gonna let this dry out a day and then I'll plant this. But what I think I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna pull this around because it's gonna weaken the stem. So I'm just going to slice it. So what I'm gonna do is just slice this a little bit here, like that. And I'm just gonna take it off that way. And let me show you. I saved a part of it, so I'm not weakening the stem, okay? So this is probably what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that with this one too to kind of even it out a little bit. All right, you can see all that aloe juice coming out there. So I'm gonna just pop this in my water. And now we have just this little stubby, which, you know, there's not a whole lot there. But I could try to plant this and see what happens. I'm kind of curious. I don't know how long it's going to take. Some of these are still experiments. Some of these are still experiments for me. Okay, so we got one that I left this and one I did not. If I end up making a video to show you what the results are, I'll try to remember to do that. I did this and they did start to come up. As long as I didn't cut it all the way to the stump, it did have life in it. So I'm just going to set these aside and we'll work on the leaves. I have a lot of nice juice here, really nice juice. And my husband told me to call him. He said he would come and help me get the gel out. He's outside working on cleaning his workshop. We're doing a lot of organizing around here. Here we are, and I think everybody's in the mood to organize when you're getting to the end of February and you really are waiting to do your garden. Yeah, I have some plants starting under my fluorescent lights. I'm getting sidetracked. You can see the aloe. You can see that's juicy stuff. So I'm going to take a couple of these. These are nice pieces. I'm going to put them in my water here. This is getting full, so I'm going to have to get a new bowl. And as you can see, I can tell that it has a yellow tinge to it. See, I don't know if you can tell, but it has a yellow tinge to it. I can see the yellow, all the aloe is seeping out. I'm going to strain this and put new water in there and let it soak again. Usually after the second rinse, the aloe is out. You can see the yellow. You can see the yellow in the sink. Yeah, this second rinse should work good. It should be enough. Here's another bowl. I don't see the yellow as much. It does always appear probably through the video a little darker, but it's definitely not yellow here. So this will be ready to go to get the gel out. Okay, I got a fresh new bowl here. Nice big one. These are some nice big leaves. You can see all the aloe dripping out here. I can use a big knife, but I kind of like this handy little knife here, this little one. It's sharp, and I can just kind of drop them in the water. And then put the extra pieces in here that I will blend up. I'm going to cut off the end where it's kind of sappy and put that in my scrap bucket. Then I'm going to just drop them and just slice them right into the water. I think I can probably slice that one since the juice is so thick. And we'll just put this scrap in here. And then, oh, these are nice big leaves. They're nice. You're going to give me lots of gel. I mean, I've been to the store at Food Lion and I've seen the leaves they sell there. They only sell them for $2. I'm surprised. But anyway, they are huge leaves, big leaves. I don't have any that big, but I've gotten pretty close to that size. The biggest ones I have maybe are a little bigger than this. I grow mine indoors, so I don't have, a mass production of aloe vera plants that I can grow outside. I live in Virginia. But this works for me. I'm blessed with a sunroom. My husband lets me take the space to put these plants. He's very patient with me in that, and he's been enjoying helping me with the harvest. We have some good fellowship time and just visiting together. This is a little bit too skinny here. I'm going to throw that out, put that in the compost pile, and sometimes it's just not worth it. Some of this stuff got shriveled up. There's a little bit in here. I might just go ahead, but this is just already drying. It's just not worth it. I might put a little bit of that in this bucket here and throw the rest away. The compost will appreciate it. I have lots of compost piles outside that I use for all my garden scraps. I just let them sit there for a year. I dump everything in there, all my weeds from my garden, all the chicken manure that comes from the barn. We pile everything up, and leaves, we get free black leaves from the city. My husband makes huge piles in the yard of these leaves, and they break down, and I use them to mix with my compost. I put them in my garden beds. It's really a blessing to have. everyone who lives, wherever you live, always check the city out to see if they have leaves that you can get, because a lot of times it's free if you do any gardening anyways. All right, I'm gonna put that in there, throw that away. I think this one's gonna go in there. I accidentally put it in there. And then this one I'm gonna put in there also. It's just an end. Wasn't thinking. You know, there is some juice in here, so I'm gonna just save that. I think I'm gonna just put this in here, donate it. It's kind of short and stubby. It does have enough juice where we can get it out, so I'm gonna change my mind. All right, decisions. These were a little bit on the skinny side. They got neglected, and you know, the aloe juice is in there, but it's just dried up. So if I just cut the edges off and donate this to the pile that's gonna be green, maybe it'll produce something good. This is my last container of plants that I took. I just chopped them off, all the leggy plants. I do have more in there that I have to work on, but these are the last ones that I have that I actually already harvested. All right, so we're moving along here. I've got this last container full I got to finish, and this one here is one that was kind of in a sunny window. It was getting too much light, and you can see that they got a little pale. It was too strong of a light almost for them. You could see that they were reaching toward the sunny window, yet at the same time it got too bright or too hot for them, and some of their leaves turned pale. So I don't know if it's even worth harvesting the juice on this. I just probably just going to throw these leaves away. This one is not going to be worth keeping at all. So what I'm going to do is just chop it right here. And see, here's an example. Like I chopped the other one before I showed you. I saved the middle piece, the middle part that's going to come up with new leaves. Here I didn't save it. So if you look, see the middle part? It's just a solid stub. That's pretty much not going to do anything when if you try to plant this. It's pretty much dead. Maybe something on the side will come up eventually, but I have tried it and it hasn't really done anything. So I'm going to just compost that. All right, and I'm just going to start chopping. So what I'm doing here is most of this stuff here is really compost. There's a little piece here I'm going to keep and put it in the water. I'm going to cut the ends off. The aloe is going to come out of there, and I'm going to put that in the water. Some of that. This can be compost. All right, and so if you see here, when you get to the end, you can see the aloe. See that? See the aloe dripping out there? All right, but I can just pop these off. See, they're easy to pop off like this because I cut the stem so short, and they just pop off. And as I keep going, you can see it's a main stem there. I'm just going to keep slicing it, throwing that in the compost, and I'll just keep taking them off. So that's another easy way to do it. If you know you're harvesting the whole thing, the whole plant, I'm just going to take these off like this. Because I'm not going to save this particular plant. So now I'm getting down to the actual leaves. So you can see all the way in the middle. You can see, look at that juice. That juice is coming out. Look at that. Look at that juice. You don't want that. That's aloe, and that's dripping out. See, it's bleeding out. That's good. So we want that to come out. All we do is just kind of slice, take these off, and let it drip. And then when I put it in the water, it'll continue to drip. And if I'm going to harvest these by scraping, I don't usually like to keep the curled part because it's harder to get to it with the spoon. So I'm just going to cut that off. I don't really need that, and I'll keep a little bit of it. This I might save to scrape, but this here I might not. And here, the aloe is dripping out, but if I just slice it a couple times, it's mostly going to come out at the bottom like that, most of the time. All right, but these two leaves I'll put in here. The other ones I'm going to put in my bigger bucket right here. And we're just going to keep going and get these leaves done. Sometimes I'll use this knife, and sometimes I'll just do this and just kind of, you know, do that. That's good too. Whatever way works for you. This is a smaller one, so it does have potential for getting a little bigger, but I don't think I'm going to keep it because even this leaf here is cracked a little bit. So we're just going to chop this off here and go for it. Not much in this, I'm going to throw it away. This one has this little bit, but I'm going to put it in this bucket here. We'll keep cutting this off here. I'm down to the actual leaf now, again like it did before. See that aloe dripping out? Woo! There it goes. The whole thing just falls apart like that. Look at all that alloying on there. This napkin is really getting yellow. We want to make sure that is out of there. I'll make sure I didn't cut my finger. Okay. We got to be careful because I can have a tendency to do that if I'm not careful. I've done it before. Yellow napkin here, that's alloying. Got this one I'm saving to see if it'll come up in the middle. Got this one now, this and this one. This one here is another small plant, and it looks like it could probably be a potential plant. So I'm going to do the circle, turning the stump method and pinching method to get some of these leaves off, just so I can take a look at it and decide whether I want to keep it or not. All right, I got it to the point where it looks kind of nice, straight, long, leggy, but it would make a nice plant. So it's not worth getting the gel out of these because there's not that much. So I'm going to again put this with my planting stock and we'll see how that goes. All right, so here's my next one. This one looks pretty pitiful. Look at it. It was just drooping over, drying up. Just all that nice juice that used to be there is gone. It's fed the rest of the plant. So see all in here? See how nice it looks up in here? Nice and fat and juicy because it's been feeding the plant, taking care of it. It's a good mama. But it's time for me to clean it up. And you know, the plant looks pretty good up here, and I just may go ahead and save this one for one of my bigger plants. Let's see what it looks like once I'm done. So I'm going to peel this with my hands. This is a lot tougher because it's, and this, most of this I can't keep, but there's a little bit of gel in here that I will try to save once I'm done with it. I'm going to peel this off like this, hold on to it. It doesn't have a big long stem for me to hold on to, so I got to kind of hold on to the plant. I'm going to peel it, and it's nice and thick, so I have room to do a little bit of peeling and not worry about the stem getting too skinny. And I'm starting to see, as I peel, I start to see the little, I don't know what you want to call them, nodules, whatever they're called. But see, there's one there. Here's one here. Right there. And so that's going to be my new roots. So maybe I can make this into a nice little plant. Let's see if we can take a little bit more off. I don't want to hurt it too much here and shock it. It's starting to get skinnier here. But as I get it skinnier, I'm starting to expose the knobs, which will be easier for them to root. But I'm going to be careful that I don't tear off too much. Here's another one. There's another one coming. You can see the bump. See the bump right there? But it's still leggy. See how leggy it is? I got to get these leaves off here. I'll try to be careful not to wind it around too much. Now I can hold on to it. See, like this. You know what? It's still a little bit leggy. I'm going to take a couple more arms off. I think I'm going to take 2 more arms off because this one's bent anyway and it doesn't look that great. Let me take that one off. Let's see. When I peel, I'm trying to peel a little bit lower. I'm not going all the way down because I don't want to weaken the stem, as I mentioned before. So, all right, so this is what I have left. And, you know, I think it's got a lot of potential. This one's a little skinny, but if I take this one off, then if I take this one off, I gotta take this one off because it's lower. I don't have to, I could just cut it. Don't have to, but it would look kind of lopsided. So I'm gonna leave it. Or, let's see, you know what? There is some juice in these 2 leaves. I think I'm gonna take them. But what I'm gonna do is probably be very careful to just slice them. I'm going to be careful at this point to not weaken the stem too much. So I'm going to just kind of slice down here and just take it off this way. That way, you know, oops, I just poked my knife right through the leaf. That way it's going to keep some strength to that stem. And I'm going to do this one too, the one I just poked. I'm going to do that one like this. I want to be careful I don't slice too much because then I'll slice into these new leaves. I don't want to do that. So, okay, I'm going to just take a little bit more of this gel off of here. It'll dry up. It'll just shrivel. It'll just, you know, it'll just in a couple days, this will just close right up. So now I just have 2 major leaves, well 4, and then I have my undergrowth, and I have a nice little stem. There's a lot of knobs in there that will make roots. So I'm going to get a pot that's kind of tall, but it's going to be small. It's not going to be big because I don't want a lot of dirt around them. I want it to dry out fast, but I do want to keep it well watered so it'll root. So I'm going to just take this and I'm going to plant this one. I'm going to save you. All right, I've got a pot of plants in here and I've only got 2 left. This one here actually, yeah, this one's got to go. It doesn't got much of a stump. When I harvested, I threw all my plants in here, this dirty pot. So all I got is 2 left. And then I can start processing the rest of these leaves and be done. And then we'll have a little scraping time with my husband here and fellowship and get this done. I'm just going to cut this off and take this apart, okay? We'll put that over there, and then we'll take the last one. This last one is an option of saving because it's a nice size. I have harvested a lot of these because I just can't keep them all. But this one here in the middle looks pretty good. And these leaves over here aren't that great, and they're not even almost worth it to get much juice out of either. So let's just turn this around. I'm gonna peel this real quick here, because then I'm gonna have a nice size stem here to work with. All right, let's see here. Well, this one is pretty good. I'm gonna pinch that off and let it dry because it was bent. I think I'm just gonna keep this and stick it in the dirt. So that's gonna be saved. All right, now I have this pile to take care of. Okay, so I got 3 bowls of water here. I'm going to strain out now that they've been soaking. This is their second rinse. These are the fat ones that we're going to be scraping the gel out of.
Okay.
My husband's going to help me. I'm going to let that drip here, and we might not get to this for a few hours. It just depends. I got to have my breakfast here. So as long as it's dripping, what I could do is put another bowl underneath it, so that way if any of the aloe juice drips out, I can save it. I think that'll be good. That'll work. So we'll just set this aside. And I'm going to strain my other bowls, the ones that I decided to use as whole leaf. They have some gel in it. They've been soaking. We'll strain them out. I don't know if I can fit them all in this colander. One more bowl here. So these I'm going to just chop up whole. Here's the ones I'm going to cut up and the ones that I'm going to slice for gel. They're clean and ready to go, but I have a freeze dryer full of something that's got to finish first. So I might just let this sit for a few hours while I get some other things done. Okay, I got my husband to help me again. He's a good scraper.
Good.
Usually it takes us a couple hours to get some of this done. This is our compost pile here, and he's taking them, scraping the gel out, while I cut the sides and split them in half. We've already got 1 pitcher full, which is a good 5 cups, but it's going to take a long time because this bowl is full, so we may have to let some of it sit till tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be fine. All the aloe is out of it and they're nice and clear. Are you getting clear gel?
Mm-hmm. We were watching the other day a couple of little videos about the lives of an ordinary family back in the 1800s. What would it be like? And before that, a couple of days ago, we watched what it would be like in the 1600s. Mm-hmm. They weren't tremendously different, a little bit different, but not tremendously.
Both places, they didn't have cars yet, so they were horse and buggy.
Right. They worked with their hands, like we are right here. They were always busy doing something. The centerpiece of the house would be the fire. Year-round, the fire would burn because they were cooking with it, and the dad would light his pipe by it. The mother would light the candles by that fire, and it would of course be heat, and it would be hot water for the once-a-week bath time. Very, very different than what we have today. Our society today is a very busy society that's not even hardly able to have conversation. And that's really sad because that's so important.
Yeah, where when they gardened, they would get around the table and make conversation while they shelled the peas and did whatever they had to do to prepare the food.
Well, the ladies would come over and they would do a quilt or something, but they would be able to talk. There are so many things to talk about. But it seems like most of us have or at least most people that I can see have a phone which has access to the internet or to different social medias or news or like a YouTube, a platform where most of the thinking can really be done for you. All you have to do is just sit back and take the information in. It's okay to learn something, but like you might be learning about aloe vera right here, how we process it. But everyone has to think for themselves and to be able to process information for themselves, what's right or what's wrong, and then to decide.
You can use the bowl. That's really full.
Okay.
I'll take this one away.
Well, okay, I'll have to fill that, I guess.
There.
I'll have to have that to know when I get 4.
Yeah, that's right. I'll go pour this in
In
jar.
here? Or, well,
that's a good idea.
I already put some in there.
Well,
A little extra won't hurt.
looks like if we fill that to the top, that would be like 2 of these, I think.
Okay, we'll find out.
Let's find out, yeah.
That was quite a bit that I put in there.
If we get
I had already put in there before you put this
a
in there.
couple
There was
cups,
quite a
maybe. I
bit.
think it was more than a cup.
It was a lot because you were telling me to dump it.
Yeah.
You said you got a lot there.
Well, I can just go ahead and fill some jars up because I gotta fill them anyway. I don't know. So we're just gonna finish this up, and it's gonna take a while. So we don't want to be videoing the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your help, honey. It would be twice as long for me to do this by myself.
You know my head's not in the picture, right?
It is.
No, it's not the whole thing. Just,
You're a little taller.
that's how it was. Here's the headless husband. This lady's had a rough time with her head.
You can tell we've been doing this a while. Okay, so we're getting to the end of our thing here, and we have some very slimy, a lot of the slimy gel settled to the bottom of the bowl.
It
So
follows me around.
oh dear. So it is kind of really getting slimy here.
You almost got to scrape both sides of the thing.
A little bit of a slimy job here. This stuff really is mucilage-y. So, when you scrape it, though, I think you scrape a little too hard because you're getting some of the green.
A little late.
It's a little late in the game to tell you. Okay. It's a little bit difficult to, it just slips and slides on your hand because it's so slimy. Oh dear. This one has a little bit of green on it. I'm trying to get off.
Feel like I'm eating spaghetti.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's pretty slimy. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like, oh dear, it's like a stringy.
Yeah, there's definitely an art to working with it when it gets like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I think it's because all the juice from the top leaves, when we get to the bottom of the bucket, it's the juice is all down there too. So we're having to dig through the leaves to get the stuff, and it sticks to your hands. It wasn't this bad at first, but it's because it's soaking in juice. But we're almost done.
Yep, getting there. Just about done.
We got about, let's say, probably 5 quarts maybe of this gel. So that should be enough to do my trays with just pure gel. And then I also have the whole leaves that I'll be blending up and using too. All right, look at that. Woo. I should probably just let that drip right into the bucket, huh?
It's slicker than snot on a doorknob.
I would say so. I don't know if I've ever seen snot on a doorknob, but
Yeah, I remember growing up with all your siblings, snubbly little babies going around always having
yeah, right.
Look
at this.
teething or something, and they always got stuck.
Oh boy.
It's pretty much hard to describe.
Yeah, it just kind of sticks to you. It's just, Alright, there we go. Yeah, it definitely looks like snot, kind of. You know, when you have a whole leaf that is nice and, you know, whole, but when you're doing this kind of thing with the smaller leaves, it gets more soupy.
It's clear. It definitely is.
It's
clear,
definitely
but
clear and nice, but it's like
bad.
a little
It's
bit of
just,
green to it.
Probably very good for the skin. I mean, God
Yeah.
made it, so it's good.
Yeah, it's good for your skin. Good for taking internally too.
Okay, I'm going to try and get this back into fingers.
So
All this gone.
maybe if I got a spatula, I could get the rest of that out. Here, use your hands to kind of go like that.
Yeah. Just keeps
Oh dear.
Okay, well that's
Let me see if I can get a spatula.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you. Let me see if I can scrape this up. A lot of good stuff here.
I don't know, so are you washing this off my hands?
No, you should probably let it soak in.
Smells good.
Thank you, honey.
Very welcome.
All right.
We got a pattern.
We're a team.
We are a team.
Okay, so I'm putting all the different aloe mixes in my freeze dryer, and I'm going to freeze dry them. These are the cuttings. You can see how green this is. That's because this is mostly leaf. After I scraped the gel out and I cut the sides off, I blended it up, and I'm going to still freeze dry this, and then we'll use it in soaps as a colorant. And actually some of the aloe vera is still on there. The properties are going to be still in here. So I've never done this before, so we're going to check it out. And I've also got a clear gel tray, and I also have a whole aloe leaf where I took the whole leaf and I blended that up with the gel in it. So I've got a couple of these in here. This one here is the whole aloe. So it's a little bit lighter, but it still has a lot of the leaf in it because I blended up the whole leaf. I have one other tray, and then this is an extra jar, so I'm just going to use this last tray to fill this up because I don't want to mix them in with the others. So this one won't be as full, but this one has a lot more gel. But I've got my gel, my clear gel, a little bit of green in there, but that's okay. This one is the whole leaf, and this one here, which is a little bit darker, you can kind of tell there, a little bit darker. This one here is where I already scraped the gel off of the leaf, and I included the little sides that I cut off. That's a lot darker. So I'm going to dry all of these trays and powder them. And here's my 3 different products from my aloe vera I took out of the freeze dryer. So this is my juice, which is, it feels like styrofoam, kind of. That's what it does. This one here is really green because it's mostly the leaves, and it's maybe got a little bit of juice in it, but not much. But I'm going to use it for colorant and maybe to put on top of soap and things. And then this one here is the whole leaf. You can see how that's a little bit lighter than this one. That is going to be really good in soaps too. And also this would be good to use if I wanted to have a little bit of, in my smoothies, I could add a little bit of this green in here. When I processed this, I did make sure that the aloe, the yellow sap, ran out, and that wasn't not in there. So this shouldn't be upsetting to your stomach at all. I would think it would be fine to put some of this in your smoothie too, because it does got a lot of the aloe vera juice in it.
Is it time to sing a song?
Yeah.
Let the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord. O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord.
This is the whole leaf that I'm doing here. It's like insulation, and it floats through the air. So you have to be careful with it. It's really, really light and fluffy. But it's so different to do it this way than to dehydrate it. You really can't dehydrate and make it worth anything to dehydrate. It's just not worth it. I tried it once. You'll see how full it is. By the time I blend it down, it's going to be a lot smaller. So that way you don't have to use so many jars to keep it fluffy like this. You can... I'm sniffling because this stuff is so fine it goes into the air. It's just really floats. It's so light. It's a little tricky to blend this because you have to use a spoon. Be very careful not to go too deep into the blade to kind of stir it a little bit. Have the cover just in case. Put it on. Okay, now I can put it on a little bit higher. Just spin it. Reduced it down. So it went from way up here all the way down to just 1 cup. And that was 1.5 trays. I already have a jar started of my whole aloe leaf, so I'm just going to open this one up again and add to it. I'm using a regular mouth for this one. When I use the regular mouth, I have to put another cap in here. Sometimes 2, sometimes 1 and sometimes 2 like this for it to properly seal. So that's just a tip for those who do vacuum sealing. Okay, so because of that was in there, it sealed it. It works. This is a trick that I saw somebody mention on YouTube one time, and it's really been helpful. And I think it really has a lot to do with the type of rim it has. Like if it has a wider or a thinner rim here, it just depends. But just try it and see if it works for you. This time I'm doing aloe vera gel with all the trays. I basically did the other trays and I forgot to video taking them out. But this here is my last tray. I put this in here. Sure. Get it shaken down there. I'm thinking I can fit this, hopefully, without toppling over the edge. This thing is slightly unbalanced, but it looks like it's going to stay there, so I don't want it to drip over the edge. It looks good. Okay, so I'm going to shut this, and I'm going to press continue. So now it's freezing. Okay, it's morning and my trays are done. Sometimes when I pull these trays out, they're cold, and sometimes they're hot. It's kind of strange. I'm not sure how that works, but this is definitely dry. It's crunchy. I'm going to take those trays out and I'm going to defrost my chamber. All these are aloe vera gel. This is my gel, which just like you can see, it's just like kind of like insulation. I'll blend this, make it into a powder, so it looks like this when I'm done. So fluffy. It almost has no weight to it at all. Now, because I have a full one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my oxygen absorbers that I have in this canning jar and very quickly take one out and put one in here, and then I'm going to seal it, and I'm going to seal this again too. I got to make sure that it doesn't ruin my oxygen absorber, so I vacuum seal that as well. Okay, quickly go over here and get this one done. Okay, so that's sealed again. That protects these oxygen absorbers. So I have this one that's not full, but I'm going to just vacuum seal it for now. I don't need to put an oxygen absorber in it until I have it full. There we go. And this was one that I had used before. You can see the marks on it from use. And you can use these over and over again as long as they seal. So there you have it. The aloe vera freeze dried. That's what I have right there. It's a nice jar of aloe vera. It would be twice as long for me to do this by myself.
You know my head's not in the picture, right?
It is.
No, it's on the whole thing. Just